Did you know that the biggest web application built inside of Toddle is an adult website like OnlyFans? Now, not going to take too much credit for that because that's something that I don't want to take credit for, but the person who built that is in my office hours, right? So, and of course, if you join the community today and you join office hours, you're not going to see anything in the meetings that you don't want to see. We have strict guidelines on what you can share, and you got to blur all those things in screen sharing. But now, speaking of blurring things out, this is what we want to do today, because today we kind of like want to implement a system that if you're going to build such a site that, you know, has user generated content, and maybe some users are posting stuff that is over, you know, for the age of over 18 and all that kind of stuff, we want to make sure that we blur things out and that people can see that unless they confirm their age. So for that, I want to show you a basic implementation, how we can use Toddle classes, local storage, and just build a very simple system to do this, to kind of like understand how those things work. So let's get right started with this. So first of all, we need to add an image inside of here because, you know, your application will probably have some content on there. And let's say this is an image that, you know, is, you know, shouldn't be, you know, viewed by multiple people under the certain ages. So let's upload an image inside of here that I have on my computer. There you go, it's uploading. And now people can see that image and they can see it, you know, it's quite big. So let's wrap this image in an element. Let's wrap this element in an element. And now let's go to this one here and give it a max width of 25 rem. So we can nicely format that. So now inside of here, I got this div with the image. Now I want to wrap this in an element. No, my bad, actually. I want to turn this into a component, and I'm going to call this image. So I have this nice to use image component that, oh, I already have one. Let's call, let's actually then copy this and delete this and go back to my already defined image component, right? You can just create a new one, paste it inside of here, and now we can kind of like turn this image into a component. So what we need definitely is the source attribute, right? Because I need to set the source of the image, and for that, to make it work in the component, let's just copy the source URL, right? Which can be a path or whatever. So I can put this inside of here. And then I can go to the attribute of the image and go to the source. Am I on the source? Yeah, I can go on the source and I can set the source. And then I want to add an attribute called alt, where I do office hours with, you know, an image description for SEO purposes. And we're going to go to the alt tag and we're going to connect that with the alt tag. So now we got that set up in our component. Now we want to have another attribute inside of here, and this should be hidden or blurred. Or let's call this hidden. Let's call this hidden, right? So now we have a hidden attribute that's going to, you know, kind of like, you know, make it, you know, blurry and all that kind of stuff. So let's do hidden true, right? So people can see it. Now we need to set a class on the image to actually make it blurred. For that, we want to create a new class on this image element called blurred. Actually, let's call it class blurred, not hidden. Yeah, blurred true. There you go. So the attribute blurred. So now we go on the image and we go on the blurred class and we go on fx and we're going to just do blurred equals true. There you go. Now we got this set up. So now we got the blurred class on here because you can see it right here. So now we need to create a style for it. So for that, I'm going to go to the style panel. I'm creating a new style. I'm selecting a class, blurred, and then I need to go to the CSS because Toddle doesn't let you do the kind of like the blur natively. So I'm going to do CSS filter colon filter colon blur 50 pixels. And there we go. Now we got it blurred out. So now, because we got kind of like overflow when we blur things out, this is why I put it in a div. I can take the parent div and do overflow clip, clip. And now we got the image blurred if the blurred attribute is on. So now when we want to add this image on a site, we are going to use the image component, right? And now we can set the source of the image. Let's actually take Andreas. Andreas Muller. Not that Andreas Muller, the Toddle Andreas Muller. There you go. And let's get an image of Andreas so we can blur him out because he's sensitive. There you go. Let's inspect elements, open image in new tab. There you go. We got a photo of the CEO of Toddle because he's allowing those things built on Toddle. But please ask for his permission first because after this video he may change his policy. Let's add an alt tag of Andreas Toddle because I don't got that fancy O. And now we can do blurred, true. And now he is hidden, right? So now we got that blurred true, and this is very nice. So we could also improve this a little bit. We could kind of like change how the system works because we could also kind of like, you know, adjust that image kind of like with a nice tag around it. But the idea now of using components is that we have this reusable. So we have this image with this blurred attribute, and I would like to keep it that way. But maybe I want to have like a button, adjust, you know, adjust cookies or whatever and all those kinds of things. For that, what I can do is I could create a new component actually called, let's call this real image or something. Or let's call this user post, right? Because we could also now turn this into like a user post where, you know, we are using some additional layouts on top of that. What I like to do when I'm using components is to make them reusable, because now we got this image that I can reuse. And, you know, maybe now I want to kind of like add some text and like click I'm over 18 and all those kinds of things. And for that, I like to, you know, use this component in another component to make it reusable so it can be used across multiple instances. So now I got a user post, and now I can take my image component. I can add my source again for that, and we can make things dynamic as well. But now I got this div, so now we can design a user post. So let's do 0.5 rem side padding, 0.5 rem top and bottom padding, and then we'll do a max width of 25 rem for our user post. And then inside of here, we need to add a description. So I'm adding a div. I'm adding some 0.5 rem space inside of here. Then I'm adding 0.5 rem by 0.5 rem side padding. I'm going to add a paragraph. That's the post description. And then I can go on this div inside of here, and we can kind of like design it. So I'm going to do this now. Let's actually make this a little bit dark. Yeah, a little bit black. That looks good. Let's go to this image here and let's add a border. Actually, let's wrap this in an element first in a div block. And then let's give this one a border of 10 pixels. Very nice. Or let's do 8 pixels. And then we're going to go with layout, and we're going to do clip. Right? We're doing clip and we're doing clip. There you go. Now we're going to go on the div here, and we're going to add a border of 10 pixels or 12 pixels or 14 pixels. There you go. So now that we got this all set up inside of here, I can kind of like, you know, highlight the post part of it. So let's go on gray 800. Let's add a border of 8 pixels to this. And let's go inside of here and make a text of, you know, of white text color. And actually we can now actually make it less highlighting. So let's do a little bit more down. Yeah, very nice. So now I may want to do 0.75 rem by 0.75 rem. There you go. And now I can do text size 14 pixels. And then I got my post description here, right? And I got my post inside of here as an example. And now I got my div inside of here. So now when this is blurred, right, I can do blurred true. We'll see that this post is blurred. And then over here, I want to make an overlay. So I'm adding a div block over here that is going to be absolute. So we're going to make it absolute. Left 0 pixels, right 0 pixels, bottom 0 pixels, top 0 pixels. So it goes over it. I want to center the content in it. Side padding 1 rem, top and bottom padding 1 rem as well. And then inside of here, I can take an icon from Relume icons, for example. That's good enough. And then Relume icon library, copy and paste icons. And let's search for hidden. Or let's search for eye. And then lead like a closed eye. There you go. Let's take this one. Let's copy this for Figma. And now we can go back to Toddle. And inside of here, I can add a div block. I can paste my icon. I can go to the div block that contains the icon, right? Let's zoom in a little bit. Oops, 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 oops. There you go. And I can add 1 rem side padding, 1 rem, and 1 rem top and bottom padding. And I can go with the background color and make it white. And I can add a border of 100, right? And then I can see that this is hidden. Or I can do 0.5 by 0.5. There you go. And then I just want to, make it like a little bit, like this. And then I can go with the text color and make it white. There you go. So I see that this content is hidden, right? And now I need to add kind of like a text to it. So what I can do is I want to add a gap of 0.5 rem. There you go. And then under here, I can add another div. And that div can have an h3, a small heading. And then in here, I'll put a little paragraph under it. And then I'm saying 18 plus. 18 plus content. 18 plus content. And then this content is explicit. This content is explicit, right? And then we can just go to the div and we can center everything inside of here. And then I can make this 700 or 800 as an example. There you go. I want to make this white. And then I want to go here, make the size 14 pixels, weight 500. There you go. And then I will make this also white color. Maybe let's do it like a little bit washed down version of white. Yeah, this content is explicit. And then I can go inside of here, 18 plus content, right? And then I can add a nice button inside of here where people can confirm to watch the content. And then we'll do see anyway. There you go. So we kind of like have some protection measurements inside of here. We'll do 0.35 rem and 0.45 rem on the side. And then we're going to do 8 pixels border radius. And we'll do 14 pixels text size. And then we're going to, I like keeping it blue. I think that looks nice. So let's keep it blue, but let's add some more padding to the sides. Yeah, let's add less border radius actually. Let's make it 6 again. Very nice. And then inside of here though, we got to make the font weight 800, 700. There you go. See anyway. Or actually maybe let's make it look like Apple. Let's do, yes, that's it. There you go. Very nice. Take a look. This is like if Apple were to build OnlyFans, this is how it would look. There you go. Beautiful. So now I got this confirm button to see it anyway. I want to make it fully white. I'm removing hovers because I don't like hovers. And now we got the post component, right? And I got my description of the post. And now we kind of like want to make this post component reusable. So for this, I would probably pass on some attributes like post. Let's just do image. Let's pass on an image. And for that image, I need Andreas's image because he's the post image. We'll put Andreas inside of here. And then we'll do a description, or let's call this post, right? Because that's the description. Let's call this content. Content. Hey, here is Andreas, the CEO of Toddle. We are working on exciting stuff. There you go. We're going to put this inside of here. There you go. We got the post description. Now I can go to the paragraph, and I need to get it dynamically inside of here, right? So we're going to go on fx, and we're going to take this from the content variable, right? So we got the post inside of here, and that post doesn't look that good actually. So let's go back inside of here and do weight 700, and let's do size 14, and let's keep the font by default. But I want to adjust the line break a little bit. So line height 1 rem, no, 1.5 rem, 1.3 rem. That's good. I like that. There you go. And then maybe the side one could be 8.5 a little bit, or 9.5. Yeah, that's very nice. Take a look at that. Beautiful. So now we got the description, and actually I want to hide this div if there's no post content available. So I'm going to do a show and hide content size greater than 0. So if the content size, the content length is greater than 0, I'm going to show it. If not, I'm going to hide this element completely, right? You see this being hidden. Now we got that. So now we kind of like need to also pass on an attribute if it's explicit. So we do explicit, right? And this will be true, right? So Andreas is explicit content. Now, if this is explicit, we want to, make blurred true in this example, but there is more to it, because if the user has already confirmed, blurred to be, okay, so they already confirmed to it, we don't want to show it again on the next load. And for that is where we need to use some of the local storage, and we're going to, get some of that functionality. But for now, we're just going to bind it to explicit. So now I can go on the page here that's using my image component for the user post, and I can go and add my user post element inside of here. And there are a few things we got to add, right? Because this actually needs to be hidden and shown. So we do show hide if explicit equals true, for example, right? So this shows and hides with it. So now I got my post of Andreas, and now I can do explicit true. And now we're going to see, hey, this is hidden. And then I can just, update my content on this. I got my post now inside of here. And then actually, I think we don't have the image dynamic yet. Yeah, the source would need to be dynamic as well. So we'll take the source from the image URL, and I copy the source. And now I can go to the home page, and I can put the image inside of here without the quotes. There you go. And now I got the image, and I got it blurred out to protect, certain users. Now we kind of like need to start saving if the user has confirmed if they're over 18, right? For that, I want to create a variable over 18, right? And by default, this will be false if we don't have that in the memory, right? So now we got over 18. By default, it's going to be false. So when I open the page, what we want to do, so that we can see it, let's just add an h1 to the page that will show us if the user is over 18 or not. So let's go on fx, and now we'll take over 18, right? And now we can go right inside of here, and we're going to make the text, there you go, white, so we can read it. Now it's over 18. Now let's just, for example purposes, add a button to the page that would adjust this. I would go on click, and I would do over 18 equals true, right? If they confirm to this. So I were to click and I'm updating this. Now the problem that I have is if I reload the page, I'm still under 18, even though I just confirmed to it, right? Now, if you need this for regulations, you can keep it that way, that they always have to consent if you don't want to write cookies and all that kind of stuff. But what we can do to kind of like streamline this is work with local storage. So what I can do is, when I go on this button and I click, I'm updating this variable. But when I update this variable, I'm going to go to, actually let's do session storage. It's a little bit better than local storage because it's only for the session, kind of like making it a little bit better, that so it can, you know, like is only in the session, not like forever on the device when they go into a new session. So we'll do save to session storage, and the key will be over_18, over_18, and this will take the value of my over 18 value. And there you go. So I'm updating the variable over 18 on the page, and then I'm saving this to the session storage with the parameter of over 18 with the value that I set it to, which was false, right? Now, if I click inside of here, right, I'm over 18 and it has been set to the session storage. Now the issue though is when I reload the page, it's still in the session storage, but the variable doesn't take the initial value from the session storage. For that, I can actually access the session storage in the initial value of the variable. So when I go to this variable that I have inside of here and I go on fx, I can look for, with an if statement, if the session storage with the key of over 18 is greater than, or actually, let's do equals, equals true, then I'm going to make over 18 true, else I'm going to make it false. Now, if I were to reload the page, and let's do that magic, you're going to see over 18 is true, over 18 is true, over 18 is true, because it has been saved to the session storage. That is how cool this is. So we got this button over 18. Now, for the sake of actually making this work while development, let's create real quick a reset button that is resetting this value, right? This will make over 18 false and will make the value in the session storage false as well, right? So now I can reload and now we can go under 18. So now I can go inside of here, I'm over 18, and now I can reset this. Now if I reload the page, I'm still under 18. If I click again on over 18, reload the page, I'm still over 18 for that session while I'm logged in here. So that's pretty cool. You can also validate this on the server, but this just kind of like focuses on the client-side implementation of this. Now there are a few other things that we want to do because we actually want to get this event from the component inside of the page. So this component here, actually we should do I'm over 18. There you go. So people can confirm to that. Now I need to send an event when people click on this button. For that, I need to send an event outside of this component to the page that processes this. For that, I got my component event on the right-hand side here, and we'll do on over 18, and then I'm just going to send an empty object for the sake of best practices back to that. So I'm going to go to the button, unclick off this button, and I'm triggering now my component event, and because I don't need to return any data, I'm just returning an empty object. Now here's the cool thing. If I go to this home page and we got this set up the way we have it currently set up, if I go to events on this web component, I have this over 18 event. And if I'm over 18, I want to set the variable over 18 to be true. And then I want to go to session storage, save to session storage, and go with over_18. And I'm going to set it to the current value of the over 18 variable. So it updates that in there. So now we are getting the event outside of the component. So when they confirm across multiple images, the images should all update. So now I can reset this, and let's reload the page. Now I can go, I'm over 18, and now you see how this updated here. So now we actually need to adjust what this image is showing. For that, we want to go back to the component, and we want to create an attribute called over minus 18, right? Over 18. For this, we got this over 18 component, and I can do, for example, true. Let's say I'm over 18. Let's go true, right? Now I need to create a formula if I'm allowed to show the content or not, based on if this is explicit and if the user is over 18. For this, to kind of like follow best practices, because we have multiple elements that will need this formula, I can create a component formula for this. So let's create this formula, allow show. And what we're essentially doing is if explicit equals false, then true. And then if, because then we want to show the content, if explicit equals true and over 18 equals true, then we show it true, else we'll do false. Now we get this formula, and now we can bind this formula to the show and hide of this element, which is just allow show, and then we're going to go to the blurred one, but we got to adjust it a little bit actually, because now allow show is true. But if allow show is true and we're setting visibility, this element will be visible because it's true, but we need to use a not to reverse it, because if allow show is true, it will show the element even though we allow to show the element, right? To show the image. So we kind of like got to reverse how we think about this. And then for the image, for blurred, I need to go to FX, and then I can go to allow show, and if allow show is true, it will be blurred. No, we need to reverse this so we can add a not to this. So now we are showing the image because the user is over 18 true, and the image though is explicit. If the explicit would be false, we're still showing the image. If the explicit would be true, we're still showing the image. But if the user is over 18, false, we're going to hide the image. So there you have it. That's kind of like how we set this up. Now we want to go to the home page and plug this in, because now we have this over 18, and we need to bind this over 18 attribute with the over 18 variable. So now if we take a look at this, we got our post here, and right now I'm over 18. So let's reset this, and now I'm going to see we have it stored in our session storage that I'm under 18, so I'm not going to be able to see this post. I need to go I'm over 18 to see the post. Now this is what we could do. We could also make it a little bit more, dramatic, where people will not be able to read this content if they're over 18. For that, I could go with the show height if this is greater than 0, and I can just add an and allow show is true. So allow show true, right? Then now if I'm going to be under 18, I can't even read the post. I got to confirm I'm over 18. And then I'm going to see the post with the content and the image. Works the same with videos and all that kind of stuff. So that's how simple you can add this protective measurements into your Toddle application. We're going to use components for that. And then of course you can make them dynamically. But the cool thing about this is, if I were to duplicate this here and stretch it out a little bit, if I reset this, all images apply. So if I agree on this one below, I'm over 18, right? That event triggers the variable on the page, updates the session storage, and then that content is being shown. right? So this is kind of like how you can kind of like manage those permissions where you need to require the age and all those kinds of information, and then people will be finally able to see the image of Andreas, which is marked as explicit in our database. So there you go, there you have it. That's how simple it is to set this up in Toddle. It's an interesting way to learn about state management, it surely is, and to learn about components, but I hope you learned something about components. If you want to learn more about how to build great applications inside of Toddle that are scalable, I would highly suggest you to take a look at nocodeprocode.com. It's the easiest way to make sure to solve all your hardest no-code problems when you're building applications in Toddle, when you're building applications using Xano, using no-code, low-code, and how you can solve the hardest problems. We got tons of courses, office hours every day, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. PST. We got AI templates and AI template generators like Reloom, and everybody loves it, right? And there you go. It's also affordable. It's only $129 a month for the whole community access for daily office hours. So definitely worth checking it out. I can't wait to have you in there. And thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate that. Have a good one.